Boom, 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 boom. Wednesday, July 3rd. Here
4th of
we,
July Eve.
dude, the eve of the 4th of July. And last we talked, we were in June with MHI, but here we are now, Wednesday, July 3rd. Training camp just a few weeks away,
Yep.
4th of July, just hours away. We got a lot we got to get into. What's up, Tom? How we
Yeah.
doing? Happy
Well,
belated
I'm
birthday,
doing
baby.
fine. What's that?
Happy belated
Yeah.
birthday.
Thank you
Yesterday,
very
Thomas
much.
Hall.
Yep. I'm
Everybody's
getting
sound
older.
off.
Yep. Feeling it as well.
Nah, looking
But
great, man. I'm glad you had a good birthday. We were talking about that just a little bit, talking about steaks, right? Every man, every woman, every child is entitled to a steak at least on their birthday. I know they're
right.
going to be steaks grilling tomorrow on 4th of July. I want to hear about everybody's menu. What do you like to grill? What do you like to cook? We'll get into that and more. What'd you say you went ribeye? Is that
Yeah,
what I heard?
ribeye. Oh yeah.
Ribeye,
I
ribeye.
wanted prime rib, but they didn't have it only like on Friday and Saturday, so I went ribeye. Both of them are good. I love them both. So
Bastards. It's his birthday. If he wants
yeah,
prime rib,
yeah.
you get
You
him the
can't
prime
roast a
rib.
whole prime rib just for my birthday.
I hear you, man. No, DVA coming in here. What's up, Broncos country? Make sure you hit that like button on the way in, share on all platforms, and subscribe if you have not done so already. Dylan, happy 4th of July to you and your family. I know y'all are celebrating this weekend. Hope you have a great, safe time. David Yonkin weighing in saying, good evening. What's up, David? Thank you for joining MHI. We appreciate you starting your 4th of July weekend right here on these airwaves with Tom Scott and yours truly. And Papa Bear coming in with a $2 super. Have a great show. Still, that flag is planted firmly in the ground. It's unwavering at 12-5. Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. Tom, 12-5, baby.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be. I mean, I would be beside myself with joy, really, if they could have a record like that after what we've witnessed the last few years. So I'd love it.
Danny B coming in. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. That's right. It's time for MHI. We could catch Tom and I every Wednesday. And Kathy Lunn, good friend of the show. What's up, fam? Hope everyone is doing well and is ready for the 4th of July. Yep. Speaking of friends of the show, we just keep going. Keith Brugman coming in here. Thomas Hall just keeps getting younger, baby. Happy birthday, my friend. A huge tip of the cap to Keith. Happy 4th, man, to you and your family. I hope you and the kids and the missus all have a great time. Wolfie Mellet, there's another friend of the show. One day closer to kickoff. That's right. It's Wednesday, July 3rd. We kicked the show off talking about this. We are in July. We are weeks away. I'm kind of hoping we don't hear breaking news right around now, Tom, because it probably is an arrest.
Yeah. I don't want to hear any of that either. I have it buttoned up down there and, nothing, no, arrests or worse, that's for sure.
Speaking of Independence Day, Kenny Miller's coming in here saying he prays that the Broncos can get some independence and get back on top of the AFC West. Let's go Broncos. Man, when's that going to happen? They finally snapped the streak, right? Kansas City, they always look a little shaky in the offseason, right? There's some trouble here or there, and there's a lot of trouble this last offseason. Yep. But when you've got Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid, and they're kind of firing on all cylinders with Travis Kelce, I mean, I wouldn't be worried if I was a Chiefs fan. I'd be feeling pretty confident, not worried about the Raiders, the Chargers, or the Broncos. How do the Broncos get them to change that mentality?
Well, they're going to have to get a lot better. I mean, they're going to have to get better on the roster. They're going to have impact players. They're going to have some elite players that they don't have right now in order to consistently be on top. Now, they could, win the AFC West. Somebody gets hurt on the Chiefs or something like that. It's conceivable, but to be consistently back on top, they've got to draft better, and they've got to get to find those elite players that they can groom and have them ready to roll every Sunday.
Well, and it's been a while since that's happened, right? I mean, you're talking about elite players. Yeah, you got a couple Pro Bowlers in there and a return specialist with Marvin Mims and obviously Pastor Tan. But there's a lot left to be desired. We've been talking about the offensive line. We've been talking about the defensive line. And here we go with more Broncos defensive line news, I suppose. Their lineman, Uwazurike, who was suspended last year. Yeah, he was suspended for the sports betting, right? That's a big no-no in the NFL. Will definitely make an example out of you. There's an article up at milehighhuddle.com right now where the state of Colorado is looking into some things, not just the NFL. The Colorado Department of Revenue, specifically Arapahoe County prosecutors, are reviewing his case to, quote, determine whether any state gambling laws were violated, end quote. Again, Tom, if state gambling laws were broken, Uwazurike could face criminal charges. May have to worry a little bit more about the state and a little bit less of the NFL right now.
Yeah, from what I read last year when this all happened, it was more than just him gambling. Just there's more to it. It sounds pretty bad. And it's a bummer too, because I really liked him. I thought, given a couple years to develop, he had good size, good length. I thought, man, he could really contribute on the defensive line. But he'll probably never play another down of football again. And he might end up might be doing some time. That's how bad it is.
Man, I mean, a 4th-round pick, you're trying to get your career started and then a suspension, and now looking at criminal charges from the state. Obviously, criminal charges preclude any NFL reinstatements. Per Chad's article, he's got that running right now on milehighhuddle.com. Quote, sources also said that the NFL is waiting until state and local authorities conclude their review before determining whether to reinstate Uwazurike. This could happen when he's eligible to apply for reinstatement. That date is July 24th, or the day after Broncos veteran players report to training camp. I agree with you, Tom. I don't expect him to make the team. If you're not productive on the field and you're a distraction off and you're breaking rules, and now they're asking the question, are you breaking laws? Did you break the law? It's an issue the Broncos don't need right now. They've had their fair share of arrests. While this is a quirky, unprecedented circumstance, this is something we signed up for, we being the society of bringing sports gambling back into the limelight, right? But when you're a player, absolutely not.
Well, there's only one rule that you absolutely cannot break in the NFL, and they've made it clear time and time again, you do not gamble, and that's it. I mean, you've seen people, Tyreek Hill still playing in the NFL. Adrian Peterson came back and got to play in the NFL. I mean, these are people that did some pretty bad things.
Calvin Ridley was with not the bad things you're referencing, but he's been busted for the same sort of betting, right? Yep. Sort of the same realm. I don't want to compare situations, but at least under that umbrella, right?
Yeah. And so, at some point, I don't know how they don't understand that you cannot bet. So just don't do it. I don't know. And it's interesting that players are doing it. I still find it interesting that people are still getting caught doing it and jeopardizing their career.
It makes me wonder 20 years down the road when they do a 30 for 30 on sports betting and what it was like in the 2020s. What reason was he doing it? I mean, is there financial strain? Is there financial hardship with your family? There could be so many different reasons. And Phil McLaughlin, good evening, Thomas, Luke, and Deegan Scott. Happy belated Thomas. Buckham MHH for life. Happy 4th of July to you, Phil McLaughlin. And Michael Ronquillo, good evening, Luke and Thomas on MHI. Go Broncos. Happy 4th to you, Mike. No, it makes me wonder, man. I mean, what was the reason? Because a lot of people immediately, and I would be one of them, saying, you make enough money, you're an NFL player. Come on now. But then you don't know anyone's circumstances, and I am not justifying it. Do not get me wrong. This was a rule. He broke the rule. He's going to pay the price. Do you think he could be looking at these criminal charges? I mean, I don't think the state of Colorado and Mike Kliss are just floating that out there as we're considering it. It sure sounds like it's on the docket.
Well, and I think there was, other charges where they were talking about when this first happened. It wasn't just state of Colorado. So there's something there, whether they go through with it or not, or whether they feel like they can prove it or whatever. That's a different story. And they may not find it worth it. But yeah, from what I understand, this isn't the first time that they've talked about the possibility of bringing criminal charges against him, unfortunately.
Well, and you're out of the league before your career even started. I mean, this was a defensive lineman that they took a shot on with a 4th-round pick, right? Just outside of those premiums, but you can hit on these guys, and the Broncos, they'll never know. So George Payton, another miss, I guess. I don't know. He couldn't have predicted this, but ultimately it's, who's making these calls and who's looking at these kinds of things. And it's really tough for, I think, Broncos country to have sympathy when the economy is what it is right now. Things are expensive, right? I mean, I don't think it amazes me how many folks are gambling when things are so tight. I mean, if you've got the room, wherewithal, and responsibility to do it, and I am no angel, but man, when eggs cost what they cost, man, sometimes throwing some cheddar down in the off season like this can be brutal.
Yeah, I think it's that, well, I'm going to win and then all my troubles will be over, kind of feeling. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough one. Who knows what the reason for it is behind? I mean, they say it's addicting and people can
And
get
maybe
addicted
that's
to it,
it.
you know?
Maybe that's it, Tom.
Yeah.
Maybe too, if you're a young guy, if you think, man, I don't know how long I have in the NFL. I don't know how long I have on this team. Can I try to pad my account? Can I
Yeah.
pad some bets a little bit? I mean, you're exactly right. There could be any of a million reasons. Look at Keith, man. This is really good. I saw this in the chat. I've been waiting to bring it up. There's nothing better than a good old American cheeseburger on the 4th of July. Damn, I will agree with you on that. Question: what starter has the hottest buns and may not make the 53 this year? Oh man, we got into this a little bit last week, and I'm gonna stick by it. Tim Patrick. I know he's a fan favorite, but he has not played for 2 seasons, 2 back-to-back season-ending injuries. I was there both dates. Keith was even probably there one of the dates, if not both. It's just, I love the story. I like the guy. This isn't about that. This is about building Bo Nix. This is about fine-tuning what should be a productive offense. That has yet to be determined. But man, for me, it's Tim Patrick. And then the cheeseburger, man. I love the cheeseburger. Quick cheeseburger story, right?
All right.
I'm down in Key West last year with my family vacationing, and wouldn't you know it, Jimmy Buffett passed away while I was down there. And he obviously lived in the Florida Keys for so many years. His cheeseburger in paradise, right? Margaritaville he has down there. There was like a not a parade, but the whole street came out and was just representing Jimmy Buffett, man. So anytime I see American cheeseburger, I can't help but think of good old Jimmy B.
Parrot heads unite.
Yeah. There you
Yeah.
go, baby. There you
Yeah.
go. I like it.
So I don't know. I mean, there are some people that I think are on the hot seat, but they're not going to lose their spot on the roster, except for possibly the projected starter, Cody Barton. Now, I don't think so, but what if he doesn't impress and some of these young inside linebackers really kind of pop? Maybe Jonas Griffith comes back from that injury and is, still, athletic. And there's a possibility that he could get bumped off the roster. But I mean, I can't think of, someone who's a starter now, who's like penciled in as the starter, who's not going to make the 53. But I will say, I think McGlinchey is on the hot seat. He'll make the roster, contract and all that, but he's definitely needs to step up his game considerably.
What about a surprise cut? Can I go there with you, Keith? How about some hot buns? I like that. Hottest buns for our 4th of July grilling session here. Same position, same college. I saw them both. Senior Bowl years ago. I'm talking about Jonathan Cooper and Baron Browning. Both players showed promise years ago. Both players have had flashes here and there. Different stories, different men. But I'm still left hungry with those two, Thomas. I haven't seen everything that I wanted to see out of a consistent pass rusher for either Baron Browning or Jonathan Cooper, regardless of injuries, regardless of, whatever. You got to get going or get gone, because what if you have a young pass rusher coming up out of camp that we have no idea who is coming down the line? Nick Bonito was looking pretty hot. What if Ronnie Perkins is there, or Darrell Nuchami? I mean, who knows? You can sometimes get a dark horse pass rusher in training camp.
I would say one of those guys would be trade candidates. I think they have trade value. They may not be cut, but if someone is coming, up and comer that they like, and they're like, hey, let's see if we can get something for those guys. Yeah. Somebody who could get cut, that would be a surprise, and I don't think it would happen, but it is a possibility, and I would hate to see it because I love the kid's story. Plays hard every snap, every chance he gets out there. He does everything that the coaches ask. that's Jaleel McLaughlin, because they brought in, Blake Watson, similar type of runner, but, thicker, a little thicker, maybe a little more durable. Maybe they think he can carry a little bit more of a load than Jaleel McLaughlin. I don't think it's going to happen because from what I understand, McLaughlin's doing everything he possibly can to stay on this team. But, I mean, it could be a surprise there, possibly.
Well, to add to that point, I mean, Scott's chiming in. We talked about it last week too. This is, I think, a conversation people aren't ready to have, but I get it, guys. They're our favorites, but you have to figure out, does Sean Payton see that? Are they really what they used to be? What about my guy, your guy, Javonte Pookie Williams? I mean, the reports coming out of mini camp, out of OTAs, just Javonte doesn't look quite the same. Nothing. He's not doing anything bad, right? There's no like fumbles or like he doesn't have a bad attitude, nothing like that. But he doesn't quite look like himself. He doesn't look like the angry runs champion that Kyle Brandt anointed for 2 seasons in a row with Quinn Miners, right? I wonder about that one a lot. You know that running back specifically for this team cannot be a position that the team rewards with fat contracts. You can't do it. They've already done that, and they finally got out from under it with Melvin Gordon. You can't do it again. I'm not saying Javonte Williams is Melvin Gordon, but sooner or later, you're going to start half paying guys, and I don't want one of those guys to be the running back.
Well, and I think if Javonte Williams does get cut or is gone, then they're keeping Pirine. I think that they just don't have. I mean, it's everybody. It's young players who are unproven. You got 2 guys. That's why I think Williams stays on the rosters, because you just don't have anything proven yet, and that's why. But yeah, he's definitely one to keep an eye on for sure.
Boom. Speaking of keeping an eye on, you got to keep an eye on this guy. GLP in the house. Gary Leeds Bomber in 999 Super. Happy birthday, Thomas. Luke, I am loving the put downs by media. They have put a chip on every Broncos shoulder. Go Broncos. Gary, I would love to hear more. Go ahead and throw it in the comment section and we'll flash you back up. What are we referencing? Is there something new? Did I miss something? Because I hear you. The Broncos haven't gotten a lot of respect for a long time. Although I'll say this, it was nice during that winning streak to know that they weren't the butt of everyone's joke, right? I think that we were even teasing playoffs, asking the question. Life was good for 6 weeks of the 2023 season. I guess I'll take it. I don't know.
Well, they need something. I mean, this team, the roster makeup is not good enough to consistently win. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. I know people have a good, outlook. It's a lot of young players. There's a lot of unproven players. There's not a lot of players that have stepped up to that next level. So they're going to have to go dig deep to win. You know what I mean? They're going to have that chip on their shoulder. They're going to have to play every down a little bit harder than their opponent in order to come out victorious. And from my perspective, I mean, I obviously this year there could be several players that just make that next step, and they're like 4 or 5 elite players that we didn't expect coming on, and that would change my my opinion of this roster. But right now, looking at it, I feel like they have to have something else. They have to have really good coaching. They've got to have that extra little want to, and if this is what it takes, then that's what they need.
Well, and maybe Gary's on to something too with the Bo Nix thing, right? Because ever since draft day, everybody's been making fun of Sean Payton and Bo Nix. I think everybody being national media. I don't think you get a ton of that here right now because I think folks are excited. Like even local media members, I'm not a fan of. They're not a fan of me. We're all on the same page with this. We're excited to see something new. I think, right? Like I think we're excited to try a first-round quarterback. It's been a little while. And we're excited to try it with Sean Payton. So I see where Gary's going with this too. I mean, a lot of hot Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, ha, ha, ha. Zach Wilson, ha, ha, ha. What are the Broncos doing? Look, they're still a joke. I mean, you can make fun in the offseason. You can be within your right to say it, but I sure hope Bo Nix proves all those people wrong and Sean Payton right. I think maybe that's where Gary's going with this because it all comes back to the quarterback. And if you Google Bo Nix Broncos or Bo Nix Sean Payton, and you click on an article other than milehighhuddle.com and it's national, you're probably going to get a ton of negativity about Bo Nix being kind of the scraps, if you will, in the first round.
And let's face it, I mean, the Broncos have not been good for several years, so it's an easy target to say they're not going to be good again, and they have to prove those media members wrong by winning and being a good team. So I can understand why it's negative, but the Broncos themselves have to shut all those people up, right? In on the field, they have to prove that they're wrong on the field.
Exactly. Well, and they don't deserve anything until they win anything. I mean, they still got that dominant streak by the Raiders, right? You've never won in SoFi, right? It's come on, man. Come on, man. I don't get it. String guy coming in. Everything I see on NFL Network about Denver is negative. That's probably because they fired James Palmer. And, he is definitely a Broncos guy, and he would rep Broncos as hard as he can. Adam Rank likes the Broncos this year. Heard him in an interview the last couple weeks on a local show. So he called in and was talking to one of the Denver radio guys, and he liked the Bo Nix pick a lot. I mean, he was kind of the only one, and he can be notorious for making fun of people too, right? And
Sure.
quarterbacks and ha ha ha. It's the name of the game. It's the name of part of this business, I suppose. But definitely perks my ears up too. I know James is excited, James Palmer, about the pick. Just hearing some whispers around Denver. He lives here, if memory serves too. I think he's a Colorado guy. I know he's Philly, right? But I'm pretty sure he lives in Colorado. So I hear you, string guy. There's some negativity out there, but like Thomas said, man, it's time to either figure it out or deal with it. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart. Kathy, I've liked this. I've been waiting to get to you because I wanted to get Tom's reaction, Scott's reaction, and Broncos Country's reaction, because I forget about this guy so damn much because he's never available and he hasn't done jack squat. Stud pick, PJ Locke, but her dud pick, one tight end from UCLA, Greg Dulcich, who has been a severe disappointment so far.
Yeah, I like your stud pick for sure. I think both of them are spot on. I think PJ Locke, he really goes out there and tries really hard. He's a try-hard player. He's got some talent. He's obviously been on the field. He's, made some plays. So he could be the guy that steps into that starting role that is vacant from the loss of Justin Simmons for sure. And you're right. I mean, Greg Dulcich, the problem is he just can't stay healthy. So, I mean, you're a dud if you can't be on the field, no matter what your talent is. And he's proven that he cannot stay on the field. In fact, he wasn't even out there in voluntary camp because he was still injured. He's still injuring himself. So he's not even, who knows if he's going to be at camp? I don't know. How much is he going to practice? It's crazy the talent he has, but just absolutely not durable whatsoever.
It sounds like a Broncos tight end. Lives in the injury room. I mean, it was Jake Butt. Before that, it was Jeff Hireman. Like, how many names do we need to go down the list? You see Andrew Beck is the fullback out there for Houston. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous that the Broncos can't seem to find a tight end. Meanwhile, they're looking at one that burns them every year, twice a year, in Travis Kelce. I don't get it. It bothers me. And people can be excited about Lucas Kroll. I'll be honest, I don't think I'm breaking any news here. I'm not a PJ Locke guy. I never have been. I think he's a nice complimentary player. I think that he's going to be put in positions because of Vance Joseph's defense that he will not be able to succeed. It's not that I don't think he can become a starter. It's that I don't trust him in Vance Joseph's system, because Vance Joseph's system is ass. And I just not sure PJ's quite ready. So I love that though, Kathy. Greg Dulcich, man, he's been bothering me a lot, and I don't know that Lucas Kroll's the answer. Sooner or later, they've got to draft and develop a tight end or two, right, Tom? Is that too much to ask?
At some point. I'll tell you, I know we're kind of talking about this. I'm going to give you someone who's going to surprise at camp. He may not be on the roster, but come cut down day, but he's going to surprise at camp. It's Devon Vele. I think that's how you pronounce him. His name, wide receiver, tall, big, kind of not super thick, but thick enough for his height. Pretty fast for his size. And, when we don't have pads on and you're out there, doing camp practice where it's not, you're not getting, hit as a rookie and everything. I think he can really turn some heads. Now, whether he makes the final roster or not, it's a different story, but I think you'd be surprised at camp. People be kind of like talking about him for a while.
we're riling some people up. Todd's like, man, I thought you guys were Broncos fans. What's the deal? And I see you, Mark. Getting rid of Javonte Williams would be terrible. How can anybody say he's lacking because of minicamp? Mark, I love that you're pushing back here, and we love to try to bring these comments to light because we don't just want everybody saying, how great we are. We want to debate. We want to let you be heard. This is our platform. Us being MHI and Broncos country is what makes MHI. So I want to get into this because I think there's something here, Mark. I wasn't there at minicamp. So I'm going off of people I trust. I'm hoping that they're right. Have they been wrong before? You bet. Could Javonte Williams be just fine? You're damn right. But then you look at the injury history, Mark, to just assume Javonte is going to be good to go. I mean, since November 2019, he's had an MCL knee pull grade 1. He's had an ACL knee tear grade 3. An LCL knee tear grade 3. And then an inguinal hip strain. So what does that mean? It means the legs are beat up. And a running back, correct me if I'm wrong, he needs those legs to do well. Javonte Williams is one of those running backs that likes contact. Well, how much are those legs going to like contact in the 2024 season when Sean Payton's banging them around? I mean, I'm worried about Javonte, Mark. I am. I like him. I like him a lot. But I'm just worried about his health.
Yeah, and I've said this before. I don't think he's getting cut. I think he's the starter going into the season, but his his starting spot is hot just because, like I said earlier in the show, there's not much experience, and there's not in that running back room, especially if they get rid of P. Ryan, and that I don't think they want to just trust a 6th round running back right out of the gate and say, oh, let's, it's happened before. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we've got a Hall of Famer that was able to turn some heads in preseason, but it just makes me think that one of those 2 veterans are going to stick around. It's probably Javonte, but yeah, his lack of explosiveness, even in minicamp, I guess was what has drawn people's attention. Is he just doesn't seem as explosive just without pads on or anything. And maybe he's taking it easy, kind of like getting his body back into it. But that's what some of the talk was. So you got to have some explosiveness when you're a running back in this league.
Yeah, and it's, the D linemen are only getting bigger and faster and stronger too. I mean, this league waits for no one, but that running back position is brutal, Tom. I mean, even when these guys aren't being asked to run the ball, these fake handoffs, they're getting tackled like they have the ball. These pass protection sets, some of these guys are getting blown up from D linemen, linebackers, even DBs that come screaming into the hole. It's tough. And speaking of DBs, Keith Brugman coming back in. Thank you, Keith. Does Pat Surtain II have something to prove this year? If PS2 has a down year, is that a good thing or a bad thing for the Broncos? You bet he does, Keith. He's trying to get that bag. He is trying to reset the cornerback market. He needs to add another Pro Bowl to that if he wants to do that. I would pay him whatever he wants right now. That's just me. I'm tickled that Pat Surtain's on this team. Why? Because I thought they would have to trade him away to go draft their 1st-round quarterback. They didn't have to do that. So I am very pleased that Keith can ask this question. He has to have a good year, not a bad year from Pat Surtain. I didn't think he had a great season last year, if I'm going to be honest. I saw him quit in the Miami game, and that made me pissed off, very upset. I didn't think I'd see that. Some of the greats don't quit. I've seen Champ Bailey get beat a lot in his career. I've never seen him quit. Yeah. So the whole, Champ Bailey PS2 thing, I get it, but they're 2 different men. They are 2 different players. He's got to do well, man. He's got to do well. He's got to get that back.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to say, I think it's Vance Joseph. I'm sorry. Patrick Surtain was an elite player the second he walked on the field. We all saw it. We could see it as a rookie, how great he was. Second year, great. And then Vance Joseph comes along and all of a sudden he kind of has a down year. So Vance Joseph had better start coaching a heck of a lot better than he has, because he's going to get his butt fired is what's going to happen, because I just have no faith in him. So I think part of his Vance Joseph, maybe he did have a little bit of a down year. It was a kind of a tumultuous season. If you think about all the stuff that happened, maybe that affected him. But he's still an elite player. Even his down year was still pretty darn good. So I think he can bounce back. I just want Vance Joseph to put the defense out there that can succeed consistently. I just don't think he does that on a regular basis in game.
Well, the club picked up his option for 2025. So if he did become an unrestricted free agent, that would technically be in 2026. Again, players can get disgruntled. You can get sideways with them. We've seen that in every franchise. We see it every year. That could happen as well. Does Pastor Tan want to be here, Keith, Tom? I mean, you need to ask yourself that if you're looking at it from the only Denver Bronco that is elite right now. You want to go play for somebody else and try to win a championship and still get paid? Who might that be? I don't know. The Detroit Lions, maybe? Would that be interesting? You got to live in Detroit, sure, but they're an up-and-coming team. They're a playoff team. I don't know. He's a Florida boy. Does he want to go back and play for one of the Florida teams? I know the Jaguars. They've been backing up the Brinks truck with Trevor Lawrence, right? And I don't know what's going on down there in Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield and everything like that. The Miami Dolphins, they've got cash issues, right? I wonder, does Pat Surtain long-term want to be a Denver Bronco?
That's a great question. I mean, they're going to have to show some really big improvement next year. Not necessarily improvement in the win column, but improvement of locker room improvement, something that he can see that, yes, the following year, we're going to take a bigger step and we're going to start a winning franchise again. But other than that, I mean, if you've been on this team for a while and you've experienced nothing but losing, one can, their mind can be like, hey, the grass is greener over there because they're, competitor are there. They compete for at least playoffs, that kind of thing. I can see that, but I don't know if the Broncos will let him get away. I mean, he's a heck of a player. Why would you? I mean, you've got to get more of those type of players on your team, not less. So they're going to throw some money at him for sure.
Well, here's the thing too, man. Like, remember his dad was sideways with the team last year on Twitter. He was saying something out there. And I mean, I get it. It's Twitter. It is what it is. But it's always kind of a bad look when one of the parents goes out there for their kids who are grown men playing in the NFL and are very public figures, and they take up for him. I forget what the context was, but I know Senior did it, and he's still coaching DBs over at Florida State. But remember, Pat Surtain Senior had a great career with the Dolphins, with the Chiefs, did get some accolades as a first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro, Pro Bowlers, never got a Super Bowl. And I wonder if him and his boy have talked about that many, many times. And Pat, this NFL career is short, baby. You gotta figure it out. You got to get paid. And you got to figure out what's important to you and try to win and try to get that ring. It makes me wonder. I don't know. And then Vance Joseph, you're bringing up something too. Does Pat Surtain, what does he think of Vance Joseph's defense? I don't think he goes out of his way to pump up Vance Joseph. I know other players did, but it makes me wonder, man. Does Pat Surtain really want to be here? Does Courtland Sutton really want to be here? He says he does. We don't know what that contract situation is going to be like. I've heard he wants about $3 million, and I don't think the Broncos want to give it to him. So you're at this standstill with your number one wide receiver in Courtland Sutton. You wonder, is that going to bleed into training camp? What do you think is going to happen with Courtland Sutton, Tom?
I think he'll show up. I don't think he has any leverage. He'll show up, play. He'll probably get a contract elsewhere, and that'll be it. After the year, after the season.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm over it. I'm so over it. Like, dude, what do you have to be disgruntled about, really? You got a contract that you didn't really live up to. You had a good season last year. You were one of the silver linings on a horrible Broncos offense. I'm done with it, man. If he wants to go, that he should say go. That's been the biggest thing that I've been frustrated about on this show. I'm like, dude, you say you want to win Super Bowls. You say you want to be in the Broncos Ring of Fame. That's not happening in the next 2-3 years. Maybe year 3, maybe you're on to something if everything hits, if you're lucky across the board, the contracts, the money, the cap, the coach, the quarterback, everything's okay. I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at, Tom. I'm looking at the next 2-3 seasons and trying to see if they can microwave this team's development, because it's more than just the quarterback. It's more than just a disgruntled wide receiver. There's a lot to be left desired on this Denver Broncos football team. I love them. I'm excited, but I'm just being realistic. This is not one of those shows where I have a sponsorship with the team and I'm just going to tell you spin. I'm worried. They have a ton of issues, Tom. We go into it weekly.
Well, yeah, we talked about it. I mean, there's issues. They need a better pass rush. They need some elite skill players that they don't have right now. I mean, someone could develop, and you could see that. But there's some issues they have to take care of, and I don't see Cortland Sutton. Now he could take a step up. You never know. He's another year removed from the injury. He was playing better. Maybe the scheme's going to fit him better with the new quarterback. I don't know, but he doesn't seem like he's ready to step into that elite status now at this point in his career. So who's it going to be? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, I'm not trying, I hate being negative. It's hard for me to muster up enthusiasm for the team after what we've seen for the last several years. But I want to see somebody step up. I just don't know who it is. Like when I look at this roster, like what three players are going to take that big of a step? Whether you're like, you've got three elite players on this team to go with Patrick Surtain too, and now we're making some noise in the regular season, pushing for a playoff spot.
I'm curious about Marvin Mims. And I know he's a long way from elite, Tom. You're exactly right. But I'm curious because I know that Sean Payton loves him because he just oohs and ahs over this young man as much as he can. He ultimately took responsibility for Marvin Mims' lack of playing time as a wide receiver, saying Jerry Jeudy stole those reps, and that was my bad. It makes me feel that Marvin Mims is going to be very involved in this offense. I hope they utilize him as a slot weapon. I hope they allow him to go deep. I would really like that. That would be kind of a ace in the hole, if you will, for the Denver Broncos to try to microwave Bo Nix's development. But he's a young receiver. I'm talking development. He needs to develop too. He's only in year 2, man.
Yeah.
So talking about elite on the offense, I mean, I get Garrett Bowles has been around for a spell. I know that he's probably towards the end of his Broncos career. He had a career resurrection in that weird, odd little year that was happening in this planet Earth. But it's just he's regressed every year since. He hasn't played to form. It makes me wonder when the Broncos are finally going to say enough's enough. But when you can't develop offensive tackles behind him. And Kathy, I know we love Frank Crum. I know we do. I'm right there with you. And Keith, I see Alex Palczewski. That's Tom's guy from last year. I know we love those two guys, but they're not exactly ready to anchor the left and the right side of the starting Broncos offensive line.
And I think you're going to see a surprise at offensive tackle, really. I mean, I love Alex Palczewski. I think, he can keep developing, but I think you're going to see someone like Matt Pert, like kind of step up and be that swing guy that people weren't expecting to have happen. Like he's got experience. He's got some starting experience, big. He's pretty athletic. Maybe he steps into that role and swing tackle. And then these young guys that we're hoping for are kind of on the outside looking in.
I love the youngsters these days with the, you want that smoke? I'm like, damn, man, they're always coming up with some new catchphrases. And Keith coming in here, MHI, the no smoke show. Yeah, man, sometimes we're blowing smoke, right? Talk about stuff we don't know what we're talking about, but we try to be ornery. We try to give it to you real. And here's the thing, man, I know it bothers you. And it makes me laugh because when you get mad, I get happy. Tom, it takes a lot to rile Tom, but I'm really not a Broncos hater. I know Tom isn't either. I want him to do well. When I'm out there mowing the lawn, I've got a Broncos hat on backwards that I've had for years. It's my lucky hat. And I haven't been so lucky lately, right? And I don't wear a lot of Broncos stuff ever when I'm writing, when I'm podcasting. I try to be objective, but I want him to do well. But for blank's sake, Tom, we've done this year and again, over and over. Here's the new quarterback. Here's the new coach. And I'm tired of being burned, but I keep coming back for more. I guess this is Broncos country, baby.
Well, I've been a fan for 4 decades, right? I mean, I keep coming back for more. I keep wanting them to be good. The nice thing too now is there's continuity at the top, right? That's been part of it. There's not been a lot of continuity from the top down. So that's been pretty, I guess, hard to handle when it comes to winning. They've got a coach who's a proven winner. Hopefully he can turn this around. So you've got some stability, you got some continuity, you've got some direction, but you still need the talent on the field to turn it around. And the problem has been is they have missed too many times in that draft to develop their own and they went out and made some terrible decisions in free agency. And that's what's really hurt them over the last few years. And they have to have these draftees that they have on this roster last year and the year before develop into something special, not just to be a guy that can be out there and play and maybe be a starter that's decent. They need some people to really pop, and that's where this team has lacked.
Well, and maybe that's going to come in the form of free agency. Maybe this last season. And what I'm talking about is I know they didn't get any big name guys, right? Yeah. And they let some big name guys walk who are still on the market. By the way, did you see the Justin Simmons and the San Francisco 49ers kind of connection there? I was scrolling through X. I don't know who's until a contract is signed, right? It is what it is. And I've written articles saying the Steelers might be interested. I mean, who knows? But what do you think about that? I mean, that would be really easy for me to root for, considering, it's Kyle Shanahan. I kind of feel like the Niners, the Broncos, they've got some connections. And when I'm not rooting for Denver, if I'm going to be honest, I'm rooting for Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I'm not. But yeah, I actually thought that when they were, when the trade deadline was coming and the rumors about Simmons and they were talking about Philadelphia and everything, I actually thought the 49ers might be a good place for him to go last year at the trade deadline. So it makes sense to me. I'm surprised that he hasn't been picked up already. Like, I thought he would be someone that got, snagged up pretty quickly. He's got a good skill set. He's still got gas left in the tank. I thought, well, and it's kind of like a head scratcher. Like, what's going on? Why is he still waiting for that contract?
Because he's asking for too much.
He's asking. Yeah, maybe he's asking for too much, but it's a strange. I thought, why is he waiting so long?
Maybe you don't want to deal with all the offseason stuff either, right? Maybe I don't know. That could be so risky, though. And I know they're not the same guy, but I randomly wonder about Dalton Risner. Like, I know Justin Simmons is a proven starter. I know he has accolades. Dalton Risner doesn't. They're two different positions, two different guys, two different situations. But something happened with Dalton Risner where we just fell in love with him in Broncos country. He was a serviceable player, ultimately left, and then he had to wait a long time too. When you bet on yourself like that, man, and you're betting against the NFL, it would make me nervous. Really, really nervous. And somebody had poked at Justin Simmons, I think, last few weeks, saying, what's going on, man? Does it suck waiting this long? And he's like, no, I'm good. I'm good with it. And I'm thinking, you've been through a lot of training camps. You've been through a lot of coaches' off seasons. You're chilling right now. And don't get me wrong. I'm sure Justin is a professional. He's taking care of himself. He's working out. He's being smart. He's a good family man, stays out of trouble. But I don't know, man. I think it'll be interesting to see where he lands.
Yeah, for sure. And with Risner, though, he was regressing. So I could see why every year he seemed to get a little bit worse. And I could see why people were kind of, we're going to wait and see until we need somebody. But with Justin Simmons, he had a little, had some injuries last year, but still a good player. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he just wants to take a break from all the camps and OTAs and then come into training camp fresh and ready to roll. And, he's got doing his thing with the charity and stuff, that kind of stuff. So maybe just like, I'm going to take the time off and do it. That makes sense. But at the same time, teams that wanted good safety, you would think would have went out there and made him an offer he couldn't refuse at this point. So
you got to get it done if you're Justin Simmons looking for his next team, I guess, in the NFL. I mean, that's odd to say, right? Because we're still kind of digesting, and maybe it doesn't feel like Justin's gone because he hasn't signed anywhere else yet. So, right, he's probably still living in Colorado. So maybe that's why Broncos country, it feels weird to say Justin's gone because he's not on the team, but he's still in the state, maybe, or I don't know, man. It's odd. It's MHI. It's Wednesday night. It is July 3rd. We are getting your 4th of July weekend started. We're about 15 minutes away from closing time, if you will. Tom, I always get nervous the 4th of July. Do you know why I get nervous?
You're scared of the fireworks?
It's close. I'm scared of something. I am scared of one of our favorite players getting arrested. That is what I am afraid of, or getting hurt, or getting injured, or getting sick, or something silly. It seems like more times than not, I feel like I've grown up with it. It's around 3rd of July, 4th of July, 5th of July, those 4 or 5 days that time frame between reporting to training camp, guys get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I know the Jason Pierre-Paul incident stands out a lot. Um, Things happen where I'm tired of seeing guys drowning as well. That tends to happen a lot in the summer in general. Guys, human beings think that they are indestructible in water, and it baffles my mind. I mean, we have drownings at the lake by my house just
Yeah.
every week, it seems like now in Colorado. So like I get nervous because I don't want guys to get in trouble. I don't want guys to get hurt. I don't want anybody to get killed. And it does seem like these things tend to happen in the off season before camp.
Well, let's just hope that they're mature enough not to do that, right? Like, I mean, I I feel like it's different. Like, I feel like Sean Payton has brought a little bit more professionalism, even though I'm not wasn't a huge Sean Payton guy, but I feel like the team seems a little more professional. That's where it's moving to. A little
Yeah.
bit better leadership, a little bit better direction. So I don't think something's going to happen. I hope it doesn't. It just seems like a different type of off season, right? Like they're getting rid of the players that they wanted to get rid of. They brought in their guys, the character, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of hard workers. I mean, like we just talked about Jaleel McLaughlin. I mean, he's in there working his butt off. Like it just seems like, even though I'm not like excited about how that they're going to be a great this year, I feel like that whole atmosphere is changing, and I'm just going to put it up, hope that that's what the deal is.
Yeah, I hope you're right, man. And you can't spend your whole life worrying about something that may or may not happen. But yeah, it's just odd. It's an odd time of the year. I don't know, man. It's you turn on the news cycle right now for the NFL, and I mean that's literally what you see. You see arrests, you see issues. It's nice when you see the good stuff, right? You just talking about Justin Simmons' charity. You're talking about what Jarrett Stidham had a throwing camp that he organized. Zach Wilson just got married. Right, breaking news out of Broncos country. Sorry to all those single moms out there, Broncos, but Zach Wilson is officially off the market. I don't know, man. I mean, like guys are vacationing too. Families are vacationing. It's that time of year. Do you guys have any big plans? What does Thomas Hall's 4th of July look like?
Well, nothing really. I mean, we're still, as you know, looking for a house. It's been a lot longer than we hoped, and so we're probably just going to hang out and just just take it easy, which I haven't been doing much of. I've been pretty darn busy. A lot of driving around looking for houses, a lot of work stuff. So just sit back and relax. Take it easy. That's what I really want to do. How about you?
I will be doing the same thing. We usually host big parties and everything like that. This will be the first year we're not. I mean, it's been a crazy year with dogs and everything, and our puppy had surgery and she's out of the cone now. So we're still kind of watching the scratch. I mean, there's always something going on in life, but to your point, I think I'm just going to step back for a little bit and try to enjoy those roses, smell those roses, and slow down a little. Just fire up the grill, man. I don't know, throw some steaks on, some brats on. I know my wife's cooking up a storm for just our small family, so we can hang out the next 3 or 4 days and not have to worry about cooking. But it's got to be the barbecue for me. That's a big part of 4th of July. I think a barbecue, a cold one, some music on, whether it's in the garage or outside. It's one of those days I love to be outside. It's one of those days I love to be under the sun. And I just hope everybody's safe, man. That's the big thing. Be safe, have fun, and I love the holiday. It's really, really fun. It feels like summer really started on 4th of July, at least for me.
I used to love going to the fireworks, but it's so hard anymore. It's like always so busy and it's like packed. You got to park, and it's like I don't do it anymore. But man, I used to be like dedicated, like go watch the fireworks from somewhere, and but we're not talking about football anymore. We're talking about 4th of July. But one of the things that was great, when I lived in Maine, we lived on an island, and the island next to us used to have fireworks shows all the time. We didn't have to go anywhere. We just sit there and watch it. It was awesome. Yeah,
that's the best. And I think people have done that. I'm sure you've had like friends and stuff go over there too, and you would know that friend whose yard backs up to a giant hill, or especially here in Colorado with the mountains, right? Go on top of the mountains and check it out. And where I live, we're enough by the foothills and the mountains that you're able to do that sort of thing. And it's cool, man. I know there's craziness going on in this world, but I'm very patriotic. I know you are too, and I'm so proud to be an American and live this great life that I live in this country, and just feel blessed, man. I mean, like we get to do something that we love every Wednesday night, which is talking Denver Broncos and analyzing what they're doing, trying to predict how they're going to move forward, especially in this offseason. But we don't have that long, Tom. It's July 3rd. I mean, they're a few weeks away now from training camp. It is coming.
This summer is already slipping by, and I'm really, really bummed out, man, because it it felt like when we moved, like when we sold our house and moved, like, oh yeah, it's not even really quite spring yet. This is going to be great. We're going to be in a house pretty soon, and life's going to move on. And here we are still looking. I'm like, I'm so bummed that it's already July. Not only am I a year older, that I'm bummed that this summer is gone. I mean, it's just flying by.
I know. Well, and it's been so damn hot too, right? All these heat waves going across our country. I mean, people are just trying to stay cool and just trying to stay cool, out of trouble, safe, and have a good weekend, man. Have a lot of fun. It's a good time to be together too with folks. I think there's some cool events going on right now, right? Like I know there's the boxing match with Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal on Saturday, I think. And I think the hot dog eating contest, is that still a thing? Do they still do the hot dog eating contest on ESPN? I read an article, I think, a couple weeks ago where like there was some controversy with Joey Chestnut, and like what was that about? Are they going to let him eat hot dogs, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I guess he was sponsored by the wrong brand or something, and he can't eat hot dogs anymore. It was like, I'm like, good Lord, man, it's crazy.
Joey Chestnut, sponsored by the wrong Wayner. Michael Rinquillo coming in here. Great show tonight. Luke and Thomas on MHI. Go Broncos. Happy 4th of July to you, Michael. And I love that Bo Nix jersey in Michael's Facebook profile picture. And you can check this show out on Facebook. We do stream YouTube, Twitch, over on X as well. But Michael's always supporting us and giving us a big mile high salute from Arizona. Absolutely, dude. Talk about the heat wave. I don't know how you do it, Michael. Arizona. I was checking in Arizona the other day just because I was curious. And I'm like, good Lord. I was thinking about Michael, and I know Michael works outside too. I don't know how he does it, man. Michael must be a DOG dog.
Yeah, I went to Arizona once to do work, and I was like ridiculous, man. It was so hot. I mean, I've been in heat before, but that was just like, it was like opening an oven in your face hot kind of feeling. It was crazy.
Yeah, man. It's I got off the tarmac once. I've told that story a million times. Michael doesn't want to hear it, but no, man. The hot dog eating contest has been synonymous with 4th of July, I feel like. How about movies? Scott and you and I, we're like all movie buffs. We're book, but we talk. You should hear what we talk about. We're just kind of like a sewing circle before the show starts, and even after. We're talking about Marvel movies. We're talking comic books, vampires before the show starts. 4th of July movies. Independence Day is one of my favorites. That's gotta be up there immediately, right?
You know what? I like the Sandlot on the 4th of July. It's just, they do the whole night game with the fireworks and stuff, but it's all, it's kind of that nostalgic time. Obviously I wasn't alive in the 50s, but it kind of takes you back when, it was fun to do that, block parties and all that. I love the Sandlot on the 4th of July.
Yeah, I do too. That was a good one. And it was so funny because I was going to ask you. I know we have the debate around Christmas every year. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And we fight like cats and dogs because I love Die Hard. So I was getting ready to ask you, Thomas Hall, is The Sandlot a 4th of July movie? And absolutely it is. It's a summer movie. I mean, it's fantastic, man.
It's a
I
sports
absolutely
movie
love
too
it.
for me.
100%
a sports movie.
100%. We were just talking about hot dogs and everything. I mean, famous line from The Sandlot: the kid is an L7 weenie. All right. And Scott did some digging. We're talking about Joey Chestnut. Apparently, he signed a deal with a vegan hot dog brand. So that competitive hot dog brand war between Nathan's Best and whatever Joey Chestnut signed. Yeah. I don't know, man. I remember watching Kobayashi eat and destroy those hot dogs and be disgusted, impressed, and couldn't stop watching all at the same time. I watched a documentary on some of those competitive eaters, Kobayashi specifically, and he would work out, train. I mean, he lived a very healthy life, but then he would eat sushi and rice and all this crazy stuff to stretch his stomach out. So by the 4th of July, it was on for Kobayashi, man. Crazy times.
For me, I mean, I love to eat, and I've eaten a lot before, like a bunch. And I always wanted to go, even though I don't seem like it. I want to go do the big steak challenge, the big Texan in Amarillo, which is big. But I'll
What is
tell
it?
you,
Talk to me about that challenge. What's
yeah.
the
So it's 72-ounce steak. Yeah. And it's, then you have to also eat some of the side. There's like sides too that you got to eat. So if you eat it all, it's free. If you
right.
don't, I mean, you go there, you can feed your whole family if you just ate a little bit, said I'm done, on what they give you. But I mean, for me, eating a bunch of hot dogs just doesn't appeal to me. I mean, I like hot dogs, but I don't want to gorge myself on hot dogs. I mean, put me in a steak eating contest or something like that, sure. But I just like, oh man, it just does not appeal to me whatsoever. So I really don't even watch those competitions.
So it's so funny. I Google 4th of July movies, right? And I'm trying to just pull some stuff up. And they have some stuff, man, that is just like, well, it's Google, first of all. But, it's one of my favorites, but I don't think Saving Private Ryan, I can quite go there. But it's any excuse to watch that movie.
Yeah.
I'm in. All right. You got me. They've got Glory, too. Do you remember Glory? Glory was an awesome movie. You could see a very, very young Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman and Matthew Broderick and so many good actors in Glory. I loved it.
Yeah. No, I mean, they always bring up war pictures and stuff because it's like, the freedom and whatnot. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna really do like 4th of July patriotic movie, watch The Patriot. Mel Gibson, man, that's excellent movie.
I just watched a weird Mel Gibson movie as we finish out the show here on MHI. Mel Gibson's a crazy dude, but it made me think of Broncos country. It made me think of Tom Scott and MHI. On the Line is what it's called, and it's over on Netflix. It's streaming, and Mel Gibson plays a radio host who gets caught on the microphone in a very interesting predicament. I mean, they make it the same movie over and over again, and maybe I'm just having an old guy moment. When I go to the movies, I'm not impressed anymore. I'm just like, one, I can complain about the cost, and I will. Two, it's just like, it's the same movies that are being made over and over, like an original idea, a new thought, or something. So sometimes if you're bored, you just need to go on those adventures, man. And it's always an adventure with you every Wednesday night on MHI.
That's right. I still have to finish. Speaking of Mel Gibson movies, Bloodfather. I was watching it and I really, really liking it. It's like an obscure movie of Mel Gibson, and I didn't get to finish it. I had to leave, and I haven't finished watching it. I'm really bummed, but I got to do that. It was another good one. But yeah, man, it's been fun, man. We're not talking football anymore, but again, like football and movies, I can talk about all day long. So you don't get me going on movies or football if you don't want me to keep talking all day.
No, we're getting loose, man. We're getting everybody ready for the 4th. Have a cold pop, have some fun. I mean, I don't know. My kids, my daughter and all her friends too, they always like the glow in the dark stuff. We never did that in 4th of July. And I'm always kind of jealous at some things, and other things I rub in her face because I was a 90s baby. And I think the 90s was like the best time to be a kid, man. Like life was just so much sweeter and more simple back then. And I don't know. But the glow in the dark stuff, I love to see kids out having fun too, all over the neighborhood, man. Like that's what kids should be doing. They should be having fun. We shouldn't involve them in all the problems of today. And Kathy Lund, happy Independence Day, friends. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Oh, Phil McLaughlin, shout out my mother, her favorite movie of all time, Jaws. Jaws is a good summer movie for sure. You could argue 4th of July as well. I mean, didn't it happen on the 4th of July, or at least 4th of July weekend?
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, I believe it was.
I like it a lot, guys. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com. We talked a little bit about Broncos defensive lineman Uwazurike. That's a mouthful. He's facing a potential setback with regards to his NFL reinstatement. He was suspended last season for online betting. The state of Colorado is doing some digging into this now. So maybe the NFL is the least of Uwazurike's worries. Zach Wilson got married, right? Some Broncos news that you're looking at, but head on over to milehighhuddle.com. We've got Broncos camp battles. We've got Broncos coaches and players, points on Bo Nix. Chad wrote a really cool article kind of putting everything together on Bo Nix. Jarrett Stidham, who's saying what in terms of the coaches, which players are saying what. You could decide for yourself on which quarterback is going to be QB1. And yeah, man, I always have so much fun. This is literally how I wanted to start my 4th of July weekend. I made sure I had all my chores done before I started this show because this show is so much damn fun. And Tom, I appreciate you, man. Scott, appreciate you as well. And Broncos country, you guys rock.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I love doing this. I mean, I got rid of a couple podcasts, and here I am still doing this one with you because I love it so much, and I love talking to everybody. You know, everyone brings a different perspective, whether I agree with it or not. So it's great. I enjoy talking football, like I said, and man, everybody have a great 4th of July. Hopefully, you can take the whole 4 days off and you know, just enjoy yourself and relax. But yeah, have a great 4th, Luke, Scott, you as well.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And guys, head on over and check out Dylan's articles up at milehighhuddle.com. Great conversation as always, everybody. Make sure you share the pod on all platforms. Hit that like button on the way out. Remember, a little bit does go a long way. And again, Broncos country, we appreciate your time. It's the most valuable thing that we have on this planet, in this life. We appreciate all of you for sharing your time with us on the 3rd of July. Have a happy and safe Independence Day. What do we want to say here? I know we go into "This is the way" quite a bit, but do we want to lay down some 4th of July, an Independence Day quote? Do we want to keep it what are we doing tonight, Thomas? How are we driving this ship?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I love doing "This is the way." You know, I'm a Star Wars guy, you know that, and it's always fun. But you know, just I don't really have any saying to say. Just you know, just enjoy what you have, and you know, relish in the moment.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I do like the president and Independence Day. We will not go quietly into the night. All that sort of stuff. Broncos country into the offseason training camp, just 3 weeks away. This is the way.
This is the way.